Yes, please come, Aditya.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please sit down, Aditya.
Thank you, sir.
Aditya, please give your introduction to the panel.
Sir, my name is Aditya Srivastava. I come from Lucknow. I did my basic schooling from there itself. After that, I did my BTech MTech dual degree from IIT Kanpur. After that, I worked for around 15 months in Goldman Sachs. And since then, I've been preparing for UPSC.
So, Aditya, with such an illustrious background and having worked with a MNC, why do you want to join the civil services?
So actually, this was a well thought out decision. So initially, coming from my kind of background, my focus was on attaining financial stability. So I did the job, etc. But once I went there, I realized that money stopped being the differentiator. And so I was looking at what my career should look like. There, civil services offered the opportunity to basically contribute positively to the system, of which I am already a part, and have impact on grassroots levels, and also innovate within the framework. So those were the kind of things I was looking for. So I decided to switch.
So tell me, Aditya, you will be able to throw some light on what happened in 2008 Great Depression and what happened just recently with the SVB and some of the other banks. What was the similarity or difference?
Sorry, sir. Both were actually born out of banking failures. However, there were stark differentiation. For example, the 2008 crisis was actually born out of subprime mortgage crisis, and there it was more about bank frauds, etc. However, the recent case where we look at the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, then it was actually born out of balance sheet mismatches and a resulting bank run. The situations were very different in that sense.
Ajit, you are an electrical engineer.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, India has two options. One is coal-based power, and the other is gas-based.
Yes.
Now, which do you think is more power efficient and with less carbon footprints?
So actually, with the recent technologies that we are coming up with, like ultra supercritical power plants, so even with the coal, we have achieved efficiencies of above 50%. So on the efficiency front, that kind of setup would be better than the gas economy. However, given our commitments to phase down coal and the resulting carbon emissions from it, I think the gas-based economy, which we are targeting for 2030, would be a better thing to go for.
So why are we not shifting to gas-based production? Why are we not importing? We are not able to generate ourselves. And depending on coal, is it because we have lots of coal reserves and we want to use, or is it because of some other factor?
So the primary factor is that we have a lot of coal. We have around 50 years worth of coal left. Apart from that, we already have a massive setup to generate electricity from coal. So that would also be an infrastructural overhaul would be required there. So I think these are the major reasons.
Monsoons, there have been some predictions by the IMD and earlier by SkyMet.
Yes.
So what are the predictions made by the government agency?
So the IMD predicted that we would get a normal rainfall, which would be 96% of the long-term average of 96% of 87 centimeters. And they are saying that this would be normal because the El Nino effect would be counterbalanced by a positive IOD, Indian Ocean Dipole, and the reduction in the snow in Eurasia.
So a farmer, who should he depend more on? The SkyMet predictions or IMD?
Sir, I think that the farmer should depend more on the predictions of the IMD. And secondly, the IMD is also trying to move towards more dynamic forecasting. So that would in fact benefit more to the farmer.
Aditya, how would good monsoon help the power sector in India?
So the good monsoons can actually increase the flow of the rivers, and so that would benefit the hydropower sector directly.
One. What else?
Oh, sorry, sir, I'm unable to think of other things.
You can't think of farmers.
Yes, sir. Farmers would definitely increase the cropping, and that would increase the biomass. So biomass can then be utilized to fire up the thermal power plants as well using briquettes. So that can be another dimension.
My last question: you have mentioned that you were the most economic bowler in college. What is this? Patta League.
Yes, sir. It's called Patta League there.
Is it what? Is it cricket or something else?
It's basically tennis ball cricket.
Tennis ball cricket.
Yes.
Oh, Patta.
So you play with the cricket bat. So you play with the cricket bat only.
Yes, sir.
Like children, we used to play with that. So tell me, in a T20 match, like we are seeing IPL these days.
Yes, sir.
So, according to you, preventing runs by being economical bowler is better or taking wickets?
Sir, I think that they both have their own advantages because in a T20 there are limited number of overs. So being economical adds one dimension to that. Secondly, being economical also increases the pressure on the batsman to take a risk in the over of some other bowler. So that increases the chance of.
I think we will get an answer if you also think about the test match, 5-day test match. In that case, which will be a better situation?
So their wicket taking would be a better situation because
So with more number of overs and larger number of days, would you not think that being economical, even if the wickets remain as something for only one wicket, it's fine. 20 overs have gone.
yes, sir.
So what are the goals? Fun in having more wickets left.
Sir, actually the wickets are essential to continue the innings, and also the batsmen who come above the order, they are better at batting. So in that sense, this would take precedence.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Aditya,
Yes, sir.
India is selling electricity to Bangladesh
Yes, sir.
for last few days. They started.
Yes, sir.
What are the characteristics of the plant which is generating electricity?
Sir, it is the Godda thermal power plant by Adani Group, and it is an ultra supercritical plant, which is basically running at around 700 degrees Celsius and 30 megapascal of pressures.
So don't you think that it's time that we renovate all our thermal power plants to that standard, like Adani's plant at Godda?
Sir, there would be major cost issues.
Delhi, we have thermal power plants. I think they're all closed.
Yes, sir, I didn't know about that. But I would say that it would increase the cost on the various entities, and also it would take a lot of time and a lot of reskilling to run and go into that kind of plants. Secondly, the security concerns would also be higher given the kind of temperatures and pressures we would be working in. So I think it would be an eventual journey or a slow journey towards that if we decide to move in that.
They established the plant very fast. Adani's plant came up very fast. Total time period, gestation period. Can it be done if money is there?
I think, sir, if money is there, then we should be able to do, given that the private sector has already done it. It would need a bit of willpower to do that, but then skilling component would be
Is
some other.
Bangladesh purchasing electrical power from elsewhere also? Any other nation?
Sir, I will have to read about that.
Okay. Do you think establishing energy exchanges is a good business proposition?
Sir, I would say that it is a good business proposition as well as it is good on the overall level as well, because we see that now, given the integration of the grid and the kind of exchanges that we have, anyone sitting anywhere can buy a power from other places within the country which are connected to the grid. So that way it increases the efficiency and optimizes the entire flow of energy.
How many such exchanges we have in?
So I'm able to recall one of it, but I'm not sure.
Two are there, and they are doing good business, both of them. I see. And any specific news which has interested you in last 2-3 days by going through the newspapers?
Sir, the way we are handling the G20 meetings and all, and the way we are trying to generate consensus, that is something which interests me.
Are
Because
we generating consensus, or we are sowing the seeds of discord by shifting one of the meetings at late?
Sir, I would say that we are trying to get to the consensus, as our respected Sherpa also pointed, that we already have consensus on 99% of the issues, and just the 1% which is in contention.
We have given out hope. He said we don't bother about the rest 1%.
Sir, I would say that it does bother us to get consensus on that 1% also, but then on the other hand, just 1% of things should not stop the progress on the rest 99%.
What is the advantage in putting the meeting at late?
So there are multiple advantages, because the way the G20 meetings are being organized, so it increases the prospect of projecting our soft power, attracting investment, as well as attracting tourism by showcasing the kind of natural beauty that we have at that place. And secondly, India also gets a chance to assert its position that Leh Ladakh is an integral part of India and an inalienable part of India.
Okay. Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you, sir.
Adit,
Yes.
you were analyst in Goldman Sachs.
Yes, sir.
So tell me your gains from Goldman Sachs. How will you translate into benefits in the civil service?
So the basic gains were on two fronts. So firstly, on the skilling front, I got a bit of opportunity to work with artificial intelligence and data crunching, big data. So that would help a lot in the modern era of e-governance to drive more towards data-driven governance. And secondly, I also got a bit of exposure to the corporate culture, whereby informalization is promoted between the managers and their subordinates. So that would help. That could also help to increase the efficiency of the people at the subordinate levels because of the kind of relationship that is established. So I think these would be the prime learnings.
So, do you believe in culture of calling seniors as sirs? Would you continue with that? From what you just now said, is informality a better way of management?
Sir, I would say that calling a person by name or sir does not create that much of a difference. The kind of differences I saw was that, for example, I was playing with my manager outside the office hours. We were playing cricket together. So that led to a better bonding, and that actually translated to the way we work together in office as well. So those are the kind of informalizations I would like to bring ahead.
Aditya, another interesting thing in your deck is research paper on emerging VR technology. So tell me about your research paper.
So actually it was in virtual reality technology. So what happens is that when we are trying to give an immersive experience, it requires smooth transitions. So what happens is there are something called head related transfer function, and that is present generally at 5 degrees interval. So we try to devise methods by which it can be interpolated as efficiently and as fast as possible. So one of my algorithms actually went through, and I've got the opportunity to publish the paper there.
So, can it be used in administration also? How?
So the VR technology can be used in administration. The primary thing I see is that it can be used for better training, like when we are training the police officers or the army people for combat situations or for disaster management as well. These kind of simulations can be done better.
All right. Now coming to study of dinosaurs and evolutionary science behind relationship dynamics.
Yes.
How do you see evolution of human being with climate change, with a lot of technology, with mobile all the time in the hand? Do you think human beings are also evolving with period of time? Where do you see the future of evolution process for human beings?
So actually, the human beings are evolving with the kind of opportunities and the kind of technologies that we are seeing. So there are positives as well as negatives of those. So on the positive front, we see that technology has reduced the amount of time and the efforts that were required for menial jobs. Like if we look back 10,000 years, then we were using the sickle and the hull by hand. Apart from that, on the negative side, there are issues like we see in the younger generation that gaming disorders are being called out by WHO. Then people are getting the dopamine circuitry fired by just scrolling on social media, which was actually meant for giving the rewards. So we would have to balance it in order to reap the highest benefits of the changes.
Adit, recently 1,000 technical persons have written an open letter regarding halting the further research in generative AI.
Yes.
So, do you really see a threat from generative AI?
Sir, actually, the people who wrote those letters were quite prominent people, and in the recent times, we have also seen certain scary news regarding ChatGPT-4, especially. So, there was an incident where the GPT-4 was able to bypass the robotic. There are systems which say that I am not a robot, and we have to pass those things. So, the GPT-4 was able to bypass that by going to some other organization and telling them that I am a blind human. And so please fill the CAPTCHA for me. So these kind of things show that GPT-4 is learning to use tools available online. And that is something which was the prime evolutionary benefit that humans had at a certain time in the past. So that way I think that we need to have a relook.
So now the other side of this.
Yes, sir.
Where do you see the benefit that we can derive out of GPT 7 and 8 as and when it comes?
So the primary benefits I see would be in personalizing various things. For example, healthcare is something which can be personalized, because when a person tells something to the doctor, they try to tell an entire story about their things, and that can be compressed into 1 or 2 lines for better interaction with the doctor, especially when we move towards telemedicine, etc. Similarly, in the field of education also, these things can help us in targeted education towards the child and making it personalized. So these are the basic benefits I would say.
Aditya,
Yes.
do you have tiger reserves in UP?
Yes, sir. We have tiger reserves. We have the Amangarh Tiger Reserve,
Which one?
Amangarh Tiger Reserve, the Paleontology Tiger Reserve, and recently there was a Rani Tiger Reserve as well.
Okay. So recently, I mean, 2 days back, this tiger report was there, no?
Yes, sir.
So that report indicated that the central India, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, the tiger population has increased it.
Yes, sir.
But not in UP and this, in UP also, not much of it.
Yes.
What could be the reason why you people are not in a position to make the tiger population grow?
Sir, I would say that the tiger population depends on a lot many factors, like the size of the tiger reserve, which is, does it have the ability to viably cater to that kind of population. Secondly, the kind of migration that may happen. For example, Amangarh is connected to the Jim Corbett. So the tigers can migrate from here to there, and that the count would change in that sense also. So I think those could be the factors apart from the other natural factors as well.
The government has also notified another reserve, that is dark sky reserve.
Yes, sir.
I think in December, last year December, this dark sky reserve, dark night sky reserve has been notified. Do you know something about that?
So it is basically for stargazing, and I think it was notified in Ladakh because of the less light pollution there. So it becomes a good place to see the stars, and for people especially who are interested in astronomy.
What is light pollution?
So light pollution is actually said that us humans have created a lot of light, especially during the night time, which was not something that the organisms evolved for. So the insects are facing extinctions as well due to the light pollution, because they get deviated from their paths, etc.
Okay. You are also interested in studying the dinosaurs.
Yes, sir.
In your depth, I see that.
Yes.
Can you tell me which could be which is generally recognized as the smallest dinosaur? Smallest dinosaur.
So the smallest dinosaur was around less than 90 centimeters in height, and it was called the Procompsognathus. That's what I'm going to call Procompsognathus. The small green colored dinosaurs which you might have
What
seen.
about Microraptor? Have you heard?
Yes, sir. It would also be very close in size to the Compsognathus, around that 75 to 90 centimeters.
Okay. One question on your law and order issue of this UP. Generally, in North India, the states, this law and order is a big issue. UP, Bihar, Punjab is a big issue. But in South India, it is not that big issue, law and order. What could be the reason?
So there could be multiple reasons. Firstly, we saw that the Northern India had a bit more of a politician-criminal nexus, as was pointed out by the Vora committee as well. While in the South, it was not that kind of prevalent. Secondly, the level of education and poverty, etc., also create the difference between South India and North India. So those could be the prominent reasons.
Poverty.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My last question is about a theatre, folk theatre in UP. What is the most famous folk theatre of UP? Theatre, you know?
Yes, sir.
Folk theatres.
Sir, it's around, I'm unable to recall the name, it's around the lives of Sri Krishna, but I'm unable to recall the name at the moment.
What about Nautanki?
Yes, sir, that is also prevalent in the Lucknow Kanpur region.
Thank you, Aditya.
Thank you, sir.
Aditya, I am also tempted to ask you one question on your dinosaur. What has been the most accepted theory of disappearance of dinosaurs?
Sir, it is the asteroid impact theory. We said that a large asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula.
I think that is the most widely accepted, but now there is another new theory has come by some study of Harvard University. Are you aware of that?
I'm not exactly sure of the Harvard one, but there was a study which said that multiple asteroids struck at Earth also and on the Moon also. So that was the theory which was trying to diversify the kind of impact that we had.
Now this ODOP scheme in UP it is quite popular and doing very well.
Yes, sir.
A lot of its products are being exported from different districts. So one disadvantage of this scheme is normally mentioned that other products from the same district get neglected.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yes, sir. This has been alleged many a times. If a district has more than one product which can get that kind of advantage, then the second product generally sees a bit of setback because people start shifting towards the first product.
So one state has come out with some improvised version of this ODOP. Are you aware?
So I think Uttarakhand came out with the one district, two products scheme.
Now, Aditya, yesterday that IMF division chief, like some others also in the past couple of months, have mentioned that India is a bright spot in global economy.
Yes, sir.
So, can you tell me why this statement? What is so bright about Indian economy?
So there are two basic points. So firstly, India is one of the fastest growing economies and the fastest growing large economy at the present times when most of the global slowdown is being seen. Secondly, India has a large market which is set to grow as India grows. So that is a thing which attracts investment to India.
Okay. Now, tell me what changes have you noticed in UP in the past few years in terms of economy, in terms of social thing? Just 2-3 broad points.
Firstly, I would say, sir, that the law and order situation has improved a lot, especially with the coming of the commissionerate system, and we have people have become
Do
much
you think
more.
the improvement in law and order situation is also because of large number of encounters which have taken place? I think 179 alleged criminals have been eliminated in so-called encounters. Has that also contributed to this improvement in law and order in UP?
Sir, I would say certain articles do say that has been a prominent reason. However, I would say that it is mostly about the government policy of zero tolerance via many fingers which has.
What else apart from law and order? What else has changed?
Sir, economically, UP is now becoming a powerhouse because we have already reached the second spot, and with the coming of Global Investor Summit, we are set to progress even further on that front as well. And thirdly, I would say that on the social aspects, we are seeing dilution of patriarchy, and more women are getting into the workforce or going to schools and colleges, etc.
So, Aditya, is something being done to address this issue of regional imbalance? Some areas in UP are backward. So, some attempt do you think, is being made to address this issue of regional imbalance?
Yes, sir. As I can recall about the industrial policies, more incentives are being given to put up MSMEs or other industries in Bundelkhand and Purvanchal region. For example, in MSME policy itself, 5% extra subsidy was being given if you open the MSME in Bundelkhand or Purvanchal region. So that's kind of helping, I think.
Good. Thank you, Aditya. Over to Chairman, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, Aditya, Finance Minister of India is in United States.
Yes.
She has made some statement about the debt stress of some middle income countries, which should be addressed by G20. Now, what does she mean by middle income countries?
Middle income countries are generally the developing countries, especially around us. So she was basically referring to the kind of crisis we are seeing in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, which is actually putting more pressure on India also, given that they are all in our neighborhood. So she was basically referring to solving the crisis of such vulnerable countries.
How can G20 solve this crisis, Aditya?
So there were multiple things which were being called out for. Firstly, G20 can establish mechanisms for financing the needs of these countries so that we can actually counter the debt trap diplomacy as well. Secondly, there was talks about reforming the World Bank and increasing its lending capacity by around $50 billion in the next 10 years. So that can also contribute towards these economies.
So, Aditya, we have covered a lot of areas from your DAF, but if you think that something from your DAF has still not been covered by us, then I can ask you the last question.
Sir, I think most of the areas have been covered and it was a good conversation. So you can ask from whatever.
No, we have done that. If you wish, I can ask another question.
Nothing particular comes to my mind.
Okay. So, Aditya, we close our interview. You may proceed to the waiting room. We'll call you again.
Thank you, sir.
Come, Aditya. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, Aditya, we'd like to know first how you think you have done today.
So I think that initially I was a bit nervous in the first 2-3 minutes. After that, I think I was able to get calm and tackle the questions decently.
Well, I think since the first few questions were from me, so maybe it took you some time to settle down, but then you were not looking diffident. I mean, I could say that you answered them very well. Maybe you were trying to hunt the answer in the correct expression.
My heart was pounding.
यहाँ पर अच्छे थे
वो आपके अंदर की बात है. We did not come to know. So that's a positive thing about you. That even if you were feeling nervous, you did not show your nervousness. So Aditya, you are from our angle, you are almost ready for the interview, for a good interview. You have a very good personality in all spheres. You have communication, content, knowledge. Knowledge is always, you can always increase your knowledge every day. That there's no end to it. But by and large, you are very good and almost flawless. Some of the questions you may not have answered in the correct manner, but then these are things which, especially situational and news questions, can never be challenged. Why do you take this view? But knowledge-wise, you are very good. Only thing I would like to advise you is that you look a little serious throughout. So try to look a little more involved and participative, in the sense that enthusiastic, smile here and there. Maybe your nervousness initially may have inhibited you to smile, or maybe all the time you were trying to retrieve your answers. But then at least 1 to 2% of your mind should go in giving the good expressions in terms of your, being less serious, which will also convey to the board that you are very comfortable. You should be confident, but you should also be confident. Yes. And that can be expressed by these manifestations. So you can smile while you are listening to the question. Or maybe whichever way, you could look more enthusiastic. Go to the point, question, answer, question, answer. It was a good conversation, but that conversation could have been more cordial, I would say.
More lively.
More lively. Okay? That is all. Rest is fine.
तो आदित्य बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत ज्यादा बताने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, जैसे है वैसे सुंदर रहिए। इसमें केवल जो न्यूज़पेपर में जो निकल रहा है रोज, जब तक आपका इंटरव्यू नहीं होता है तब तक उसको डेली नोट करते रहिए, और आपसे क्या ज्यादा रिलेटेड है उस पर ज्यादा ध्यान दीजिए। न्यूज पर हाई वोल्टेज डीसी ट्रांसमिशन के बारे में पढ़ लीजिएगा, और एक जो ईवी का चार्जिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है वो कहाँ तक पहुंचा है, उसमें क्या क्या बॉटलनेक्स है, एक बार जो है वो पढ़ लीजिए, ठीक है ना। और एक नया चीज अभी यूरोप वगैरह में ट्राई हो रहा है, नॉन कॉन्टेक्ट चार्जिंग फॉर इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल्स। आई थिंक इंडक्शन से होगा, तो उसके बारे में थोड़ा पढ़ लीजिएगा। ऐसा लोग कहते हैं कि उसमें हाई रेट ऑफ चार्जिंग पॉसिबल है, और क्योंकि कनेक्ट करने का दिक्कत नहीं है, तो व्हीकल जस्ट स्टैंड्स ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म, इन 2-3 मिनट्स द चार्जिंग इज कंप्लीटेड। ऐसा मैं लिटरेचर में मैंने पढ़ा है, पढ़ लीजिएगा, तो कभी डिस्कशन होगा तो अच्छा लगेगा, ठीक है। थैंक यू। टाई का कलर ये नहीं चलेगा, हाँ एक तो मैरून ब्लैक मत, ब्लैक छोड़ दीजिएगा, ब्लैक के अलावा।
So Aditya, very good conversation. You were serious, don't be so serious. You are full of knowledge. You had very good communication. 3 areas जो मैं पूछ नहीं पाया लिखा हुआ था, लेकिन समय नहीं था, because your that was so full of different activities. So number 1 is Indian Railways and electrification. What is regenerative power? And what is different between Vande Bharat and Vande Metro? This specifically I am saying. And number 3 is on bullet train. Why technology is important and why railway is spending so much on. You are a technology man, so I am telling you. Yes. Next is Kanpur and freedom struggle. East UP versus West UP comparison, which I could not ask you. Brand IIT versus brand civil service. I again could not ask you this. And DISCOM policies, I am sure you will read about tussle between power distribution companies and generation companies. So both are here. So this is what further you need to do. And whatever you did was excellent. I was only hoping you will cover climate change also as part of powers of GPT 7 and 8. All the unsolvable problems can be addressed. In fact, if you read more, you will find why I have said this. Sure. So there is an article by Mr. Bindra yesterday in Hindustan Times on generative AI. Sure. Okay?
Hindustan Times.
Yesterday's Hindustan Times. Okay. You will come to know of the challenges and what can be done. Just in case it comes up.
Sure. Aditya, you are excellent. Your knowledge base is quite good. You answered questions very, very well. Right? So I say all the best.
There's nothing to add. I think most points have been covered. Just a little bit of more smile and be more engaging with the board. That's all. You are absolutely prepared. Ekdam bilkul taiyar aap. You are ready for the interview. All the best.
Aditya, any question from your side?
Sir, once I had been told that I come out as slightly aggressive. Once it was told to me. So
We also observed the same manner that you were assertive, not aggressive, but you were extra assertive. But you were not putting words in the mouth. Point, but in a very aggressive manner.
so should I try to do
थोड़ा सा लेसन लो.
and how can I?
इसीलिए हमने सीरियसनेस वाली बात को कही. जो आपने उसको और दूसरे लफ्जों में कह दिया, which is true. So that's why be more engaging and tone down the mode, the tone and tenor of your reply, maybe soften. You say your thing emphatically. जैसे आप कोई डिबेट में कह रहे हो समथिंग, उसको थोड़ा सा अवॉइड करके मेक इट लाइक अ कॉन्वर्सेशन, बातचीत कर रहे हो.
लाइवली हो जाएंगे तो ये प्रॉब्लम अपने आप ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाएगा. लाइवली की बात बोल रहे हैं हम लोग, तो वो लाइवली जैसे ही आप लाइवली होते हैं, थोड़ा सा और इन्वॉल्विंग होते हैं, तो ये जो प्रॉब्लम आपको थोड़ा बहुत लग रहा है, पहले भी बताया गया आपको, दैट विल ऑटोमेटिकली इवेपोरेट.
बताया एडवर्सरी नहीं बैठे हुए. हाँ, ये बात सही है.
और ना ही कोई
ना
फॉर और
competitor.
अगेंस्ट हो रहा है कि कंपटीशन है कि
हाँ.
भाई मैं अपने पॉइंट्स को इतना स्ट्रांगली दूं कि सामने वाला लाजवाब हो जाए, या लॉयर योर ऑनर करके कह रहा है कि योर ऑनर दिस. वो टोन नहीं हो. प्रैक्टिस कर लेना थोड़ा सा. एक आपको मैं करेक्ट कर दूं, सिंस यू आर इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियर, मैंने मॉनसून को लेके लिंक किया, तो आपने बस एक आध चीज ही बताई हाइड्रो इलेक्ट्रिक की, बट इसी एग्रीकल्चर इज द बिग कंज्यूम. They have pumps. They run on electricity. आपको पता है स्टेट एक्चुअल उसमें कितना कंजम्पशन का होता है. So if the rains are coming, they don't need to draw the water from the ground.
Yes, sir.
वो बहुत खर्चा होता है बिजली का. समझे, हम तो लेकर चला चुके हैं ना, हमें पता है. और डोमेस्टिक कंजम्पशन, कई बार जुलाई अगस्त तक बारिश ही नहीं होती, तो लोग एसी बंद नहीं करते हैं, पंखे चलते रहते हैं, व्हाटएवर डोमेस्टिक कंजम्पशन. सो यू गेट अ पॉइंट.
Yes.
अच्छा, मौसम ठंडा होगा तो डोमेस्टिक कंजम्पशन भी कम होगा.
Yes.
These are small things but important.
Sure, sir.
Any other question from your side?
Sir, not
So Aditya, we have given you 70% today.
193 marks.
Right? Is this your first round in the UPSC?
Yes, sir. This is my first interview.
Very good. You're doing very well, Aditya. You will pull up your marks through your interview.
Very few days are left now. I think.
All the best.
All the best.